morning, everyone. Can everyone hear me? Am I echoing in there? Can you mute that device? Okay, everyone at home should hear me as well. So we are super excited because you get to learn your safety and sanitation and your basic facial. So for those that are at home and for those that are here in the facility, some of this information is going to be brand new to you. Some of this information you're going to have heard before, and that is absolutely okay. This is the part that is the non-negotiable. You don't get to make your way. You don't get to decide if I want to do it this way, if I want to do it that way. These are the non-negotiables. So we are going to take this course and split it into two sections. So the first section we're going to go over is your safety, sanitation, and infection control. For those that are level 1, we did this on theory. We talked about the levels of decontamination, sanitizing, sterilizing, disinfecting, cleaning. That is going to be the first part where we actually show you how to do that for your setup. This can be applied to any treatment, any service. This can be for facials, waxing, lashes, anything in the beauty industry. You can use this process. It will still apply. The next part of this course is going to be specifically the segments of a basic facial. These are universal segments. This is what everyone is going to teach you for a basic facial in this particular order. We are going to spend a little bit of time on each one of the actual steps, but for the most part, we're going to talk about the cleansing segment, the exfoliating, the mask, the massage, the deep treatment. Okay, so if you are ready, we will go ahead and get started. But before we do, does anyone have any questions on the two parts of this theory? Yeah. Perfect, did not think so. So yesterday we did chapter 5, infection control from your Milady textbook. We talked about the 4 steps to infection control, the prevention, that whole process. Does anybody remember what the 4 types of infection control steps you have available? I literally just listed them. So what are those 4 things? I'll put a finger down every time someone says one.
Cleaning.
Say it. Cleaning, absolutely. So we have cleaning. That falls under cleaning. Okay. So we have cleaning.
Sanitation.
Sanitizing.
Sterilizing.
Sterilizing.
And disinfecting.
And disinfecting. Perfect. So we have to do a combination of those 4 things for every tool and implement. Remember, the first one is going to be our cleansing. So in order to do the next level, we have to clean everything that we use, including our workstation, which today this is going to serve as our facial cart, our facial station, and our work bed. That's going to serve as our work bed. So we're also going to show you how to drape and undrape it and clean it. So in order to do cleaning, I brought a couple of examples here. Obviously, we don't have a sink, but it would still serve the same purpose. We have some type of material to actually scrub or clean with. You can use a sponge, you can use a nail, one of those nail brushes. You can use a toothpaste designated to cleaning and scrubbing your implements. We have some paper towels. We're going to use paper towels to dry, and we're going to use paper towels as our drying mat. So this is going to be the paper towel that represents our drying mat. In the actual cleaning station where we actually do the cleaning, there's a drying mat, but for this example, the paper towel is going to serve where we put things in between steps to dry. And then we've got paper towels to actually hand dry items as we go from one step to the next. So this is going to play our sink. This is going to play our antibacterial soap. It's not going to play it because it is soap. And we are going to use this pen as the implement that we are actually cleaning. So you would take fresh water. I'm just going to have it in the bowl. I prefer to have the water running. So I like to wet my material as well as my sponge and literally clean it. Remember, cleaning is the process of physically removing any dirt and debris. So doing anything without cleaning it or performing the cleaning service is not doing you any favors. So I've rinsed it, I've cleaned it with antibacterial soap, and then I would rinse that item. I like to hand dry the item and then place it on my clean mat. So that way we are not reducing the efficacy of the next step. So we'll talk a little bit about efficacy when we get to the next step. But so far we have performed cleaning using a sponge, regular old water, an antibacterial soap, and an implement to dry. Does anybody have any questions about cleaning? No different than washing your hands. You have been cleaning your entire life, I hope, and none of that has changed. You just want to make sure you're physically removing the dirt and debris from any items. That is something that they may ask you on your state board, maybe to define cleaning, maybe to show, like pick between different things that what is cleaning. It really just depends on the test bank you get, but cleaning is typically something that's on the state board. So for the next one, we're going to go into sanitizing, and I'm listing these in the order of infection control strength. So cleaning is our first step, but it's also the least effective when it comes to infection control. So you have to do it first because the other ones won't work, but it's least effective in the fact that cleaning doesn't destroy harmful pathogens of bacteria. It just removes visible dirt and debris. So cleaning is our lowest level, but it's the first thing that we do. From there, we have sanitizing. Sanitizing is when we are using a process like a sanitizer, we're using a bleach solution, we are using a material that is going to actually destroy some, if not most, microbial life, excluding bacterial spores. So sanitizing is when you use just a regular sanitizer and clean like your hands. Remember, if I hadn't done the cleaning of this item and I just sanitized it, if there was mud or dirt on it, it'd still have mud or dirt on it. So we've cleansed it and then we've sanitized it. Sanitizing is simply removing some or most, but not all microbial life, excluding bacterial spores. Do we have any questions on sanitizing? Perfect. The next one that we are going to use, anybody know what the next one is? Disinfection. So I'm going to pull the actual chapter so that we can get the exact definition. And we're in chapter 5. If you have it pulled up, you can pull up your textbook, but if not, that's okay. I will read it out loud for everyone. All right, chapter 5, infection control. We went over infections. Let's locate disinfectants. So we did cleaning, we did sanitizing, and now disinfectants. If you want to reference it directly in your book, it is page 97 of your foundations book. So on page 97, infection control, it says the EPA, or the Environmental Protection Agency, registers all types of disinfectants. So we've cleaned, we've sanitized, and now we're talking about disinfectants. Disinfectants are chemical products that destroy most bacteria, including spores, fungi, viruses on the surface. So disinfectants can be things like marvicide, barbicide, cavicide, fungicide, tuberculosidals. Disinfectants destroy most bacterial microbes up into bacterial spores. So bacterial spores, just as a quick definition, are tiny pockets that cannot be safely cleansed or safely disinfected. So this sponge is considered a single-use item. If you were using a sponge in a facial, you would be using it once and throwing it away. Same for cotton rounds, 4x4s, the compressed sponges that I sent you the link to, anything that contains a bacterial spore or a tiny pocket that cannot be disinfected with a EPA registered disinfectant cannot be used more than once. That's the difference between a single use and a multi-use item. But for our multi-use items, like our table, because obviously we're not going to use a new table, our bed, our extractors, our facial brushes, our facial bowls, All of those things can be disinfected with an EPA registered disinfectant. At the school, you will see Marbicide, Barbicide, and or Cavicide. For the most part, we buy Barbicide because each one of these different disinfectants will have different instructions. So to make life easier, it's good to keep one type, but any of those registered disinfectants will work fine. You just have to follow the instructions. So what I want to do is actually show you how to mix an EPA solution. If you are buying a bottle like this, in most cases, I would recommend buying the bottle and mixing it yourself because it is cheaper. But they also sell a spray version of this and a liquid version that you can use that comes in bottles like this. They have an aerosol version and bottles like this version, so where it's already mixed. They're more expensive, but you don't have to do any mixing. You don't have to do any measuring. But cost effective says to use the big bottle and mix it yourself. Does someone have a question? Perfect. Go to mute yourself just in case so we don't pick up any background noise. We're going to post this video later. So for our Barbicide, it is important that you use it according to the manufacturer's recommendations. It is in fact illegal to use any of these products off label, meaning you have instructions, but you don't follow them or you don't use it for what it's for. If you are to do that and you are found during an inspection, or if there's a complaint against you and there's an infection or some type of disease that was caused in your facility, even if you aren't responsible, if it is found that you are using your disinfectant off label, you will be held liable and responsible. So it's really important that you understand the rules of the product that you're using. So I'm gonna go ahead and read the directions. They start the directions with a big old disclaimer. It is a violation of federal law to use this product in a manner inconsistent with its labeling. So if I mix it wrong and I'm found out, it's on me. To make a hospital disinfectant, which is the grade of disinfectant, the level of disinfectant approved by TDLR, remember, state regulatory agencies, government, federal. TDLR, our state regulator, has determined that hospital grade disinfectant is safe to use. So to make a hospital disinfectant, mix 2 ounces of Barbicide into 32 ounces of water. What I like to do is mix 1 gallon jug each week, because then I can pour from this into my other containers, such as this. So I have a spray bottle version and a soaking container so that I have a soaking version. Wet EPA on the inside. So 2 ounces of Barbicide, 132 ounce of water. So I've got it mixed, it's ready to go. Can someone do me a favor and go ahead and calculate the math of how many ounces are in 1 gallon? As soon as you have the answer, shout it out. How many ounces are in 1 single gallon? Anybody?
128 fluid ounces.
128 fluid ounces. So what is 128 fluid ounces divided by, we need 32 ounces. So 128 divided by 32.
4.
So we need 4 2-ounce portions of Barbicide poured directly into our 1 gallon water jug. We can use the same jug and just keep filling it with water directly from the tap. And at the end of each week, we use the rest of it, refill it with pure water, and do 4 portions of 2 ounces of Barbicide directly into it. And now we're good to go. So EPA registered disinfectants can tend to be very strong. So I would recommend wearing gloves with it. It's not safe for you to use these products and allow them to touch your skin. So because we're gonna mix it here, I'm gonna go ahead and wear gloves, which are tiny, yay, chunky fingers, because I wanna make sure that this is not coming in contact with my skin. When we're pulling products that are submerged, then we need to make sure that we're using either tongs or gloved hands. So if I'm pulling products from the wet soaking container, I'm pulling them with gloves on. If I'm pulling from the smaller container that you can use for your implements, I'm pulling them with gloves or tongs. I am very much so hard-headed and I don't listen. So I will typically use this stuff without wearing gloves. And when I tell you contact dermatitis is real, it is real. So please take my warning. I know it's an extra step, but it is worth its weight in gold to protect yourself and your health. This is a chemical. It is used in hospitals. So if it can kill stuff in hospitals, what do you think it's going to do to the good bacteria on your hands? So make sure you protect yourself, do it properly, wear the gloves, and do it consistently. Like I said, it's important to use fresh EPA solution. So mixing it once a week is great. When you have it stored in a container like this, because you go in and out of it, it's important to check it daily and make sure that it is not gone cloudy or has any type of flakes or specks in it. If it does, pour it out, clean it, place fresh, which is again, instead of mixing it individually for each container, 1 big gallon jug will typically get a small spa salon through a full week. So we need 2 ounces 4 times. So 2, 4, 6, 8. We need 8 ounces of EPA. Now, I recommend having a measuring cup on hand. If you don't have a measuring cup, the best way to do that is to use a bottle that has the exact measurement. So this bottle has an 8-ounce line, so I can use this. This bottle is 8 ounces, so I can use this. And if I needed to make 32 ounces of EPA and I only needed 2 ounces of barbicide, but I don't have an exact 2 ounce, I would take something like a water bottle that's sealed. It's 8 ounces. Mark where it came, sealed, so you can't see it here on the camera, but there's a line on it with pen or Sharpie that shows me where it was filled to, so I know what the 8 ounces is. And I'm going to evenly distribute that 8 ounces into 4 cups. So, and of course, I only grab 2 because math. Let me go grab 1 more cup. So we need 4 cups, 2 ounces. I got to get one. Thank you. And we're just going to simply make sure these 4 cups are even with the water. Pour the water back into the bottle. Mark where our 2 ounce line is. And then we have 2 ounces at a time.
Here's an extra one, just like.
Yay. Now, all of this could be avoided if you buy a measuring cup. But guess who's irresponsible and doesn't have a measuring cup? Your girl. But one thing you will learn about me, and I hope you learn it very quickly, is there's always an answer. Figure it out. No excuse not to be able to accomplish what it is you're looking for with just a little bit of positivity and tenacity. So we have our 2 ounces. If I wanted to have a makeshift measuring cup for 2 ounces at a time, I poured back one of the cups, remarked my bottle. Now, every time I fill this with EPA, I know where 2 ounces is. Every time I fill this with EPA, I know where 8 ounces is. Again, all of this could be so simple if I just had a measuring cup. If you don't have one, go ahead and add one to your Amazon. I know you're all familiar with Amazon, where we spend our lives. Grab you one, have it in the salon, make your job easier. So, because we need 8 ounces, because we're using a full gallon, I'm gonna go ahead and pour my barbicide, my EPA registered disinfectant, directly into the container with the ounces marked. So we need 8 ounces, 2, 4, 6, 8. And you guys can't see this on the camera, but this is a new EPA bottle. So you know how bottles come with that sealer, like how it has like a cover on the top, so if it tips over, it doesn't waste. It melted the plastic. That's how strong that is. That's melted from the seal. So what do you think it's gonna do to your hand? Where are the gloves? I'm melting. Ah! More like you lose your fingers, but if it's strong enough to do that to this, and this is the bottle it's produced in, what do you think it's gonna do to you over long-term use? And we all wanna have long, healthy careers, so we're gonna make sure we handle these things properly. You would also do this over a sink, not in the middle of a classroom, because, you know, you gotta go where the cameras are, guys. Almost to 8.
All these things need to have sound effects. Yeah.
For literal professional editing.
I don't know why, but it's you and your personality.
I agree. If I could afford it, I would have our videographer come in and just record my life. Okay. Yeah. Woo, she's spooky. What's that show? Where the guy starts like cooking meth, I think.
Oh, Breaking Bad.
Breaking Bad. Like the
That
Breaking
show's
Bad
so good.
theme
Yeah.
song could literally play right now and it would be so apropos. Not mixing what is it that he mixed? Was it cocaine?
Yeah.
It was cocaine? Yeah, not mixing coke. Mixing
I've watched it
EPA.
twice. It's so good.
All right, so we've got our 8 ounces measured, secured, and then we're just gonna pour it in our bottle.
Yeah.
It was meth?
Yeah, crystal meth.
Not cooking meth.
Yeah, that's what it was. No drugs were involved in the making of this video.
We did not use any drugs to make this E EPA.
Just Kim pills. Well, you know. Not Kool-Aid kids.
We have not said that, but I hope that it's implied that we don't drink the EPA.
Yes.
So because we added 8 ounces to a gallon jug that's already full, as you can see, I had to pour some out to make room, but I'm gonna mix that into the solution. Because I wanna make sure that it gets mixed evenly. Remember, not using it properly is a problem. I can tell you, there are people who will do it based on the color of the EPA. Don't do it that way. Just use a measuring cup and get it right. And we're gonna go ahead and fill our wet soaking container. Using both the excess that was in the jug and here. I dropped something in it.
Oh.
Yeah, it's from the. Okay. Just gonna give our station a quick clean. And now this is ready. So you can get the little stick-on labels, or you can make one label per like bottle and just have date, like have a space available for the dates. So today is 8/9,
doesn't
8/10.
Mess with that.
What?
Plastic?
Writing on it?
No, like it's sitting in there.
No. This is a strong plastic. It'll be good. And you're only using it for a week. If you notice your jug is getting messed up, then you could use a new jug each week. But for as long as I've been doing it, I've never had a problem. This is on the shelf for years. We're gonna use this for a couple of weeks. So these have to be labeled properly. You cannot put EPA solution in it and not label it properly. As you can see, there's a label on this one. So when I'm done today, I'm gonna put a label on this one. I'm gonna leave room on that label to actually put the date that I mixed it. So 8:10 is when I mixed it. And then what time is it? Probably 11:15, 11:30. I'm gonna put the date, the time. Once I'm done with that, if I'm using the same bottle, I'll mark out that day and time. When I remake it, put the new date and time. So we've got the EPA mix. Now we can distribute it amongst the smaller bottles. And I'm just gonna give us a little because we're gonna use that to clean our station before we move on to setting up for the facial. While I'm doing that, does anybody have any questions before we move on to actually setting up for the facial? Perfect. So we have just practiced our safety and sanitation. I'm going to read the rest of that label and then we are going to set up for our facial. So we've done the mixed. For every 32 ounces of water, we needed 2 ounces of barbicide. We've done that. To disinfect surfaces with an EPA registered disinfectant. So on an inanimate object, hard, non-porous surface, doesn't work for this, only works for this, non-porous surface, such as floors, sink tops, tables, acrylic tanning beds, telephones, toilet seats, and door handles. Apply the solution prepared as above to pre-cleaned surfaces with a cloth, mop, sponge, or coarse mist pump or trigger sprayer, as to wet all surfaces thoroughly. Even on the bottle, it tells you to clean first. So it's this day and age, you see everything on social media. I swear to you, I saw an Instagram reel and the girl was so confident. She does amazing lash work, amazing. She was like, when you're done with your tweezers, after your client, submerge them in your EPA for 10 minutes. And I wanted to remix that reel so bad and be like, wait. There's no sound effects. You have to clean it first. Thank you. You have to clean it first because not cleaning it only contaminates the EPA. So I told you I was going to tell you a little bit about efficacy. Efficacy means how well something works. This is designed to work to destroy bacteria, microspores, all of the nasty stuff we don't want, disease-causing microbes. It is mixed 32 ounces of water, 2 ounces of barbicide. Every time I put a wet implement into the soaking solution, what did I do? I added more water. I didn't add more barbicide. So what did I do? Reduce the efficacy. That's why you change these out. If I were to put a dirty tweezer, somebody's got their eye booger on it, into my barbicide, into my EPA solution, because that wasn't cleaned off, it's just gonna float in there, making this less and less powerful, reducing the efficacy, raising the risk of spreading disease-causing germs, microbes, all the things we don't want. So please, even on the bottle, it tells you clean first, use your disinfectant. So from there, we need to read on to find out how long we have to allow this to sit. So we've read about what it will clean. We've wet the surface thoroughly, and now it says allow to remain wet for 10 minutes and then let air dry. So from there, I will take that item and allow it to remain wet. If it's the table or bed, and then go with a towel, paper towel, wipe it down. If it's a tool or an implement, I will take it out of the immersion, rinse the item with pure water, clean hands, dry it, and then move to the next step, which is the sterilization. That is the process of killing all microorganisms, including bacterial spores. And it is typically done with either heat or like high heat, or there's a wet sterilizer. We have a UV sterilizer at the school. They're very inexpensive. You can get them on Amazon. Sterilizing is the highest level of decontamination. After we have cleaned it, after we have disinfected it with an EPA registered disinfectant, it can go straight into the sterilizer for another 10 minutes, and it is completely safe to use on the next client. As you notice, we didn't use sanitizing in that 3-step process. Sanitizing is to be kept for in between the same client in between the same service. You can sanitize the bed with like a Lysol in between services with the same client. You can Lysol your table, sanitize your table in between the service of the same client. So they're getting a facial, then a lash lift and tint. You break down your station, you sanitize it, you put the new stuff up. Same with your hands. You do something, you touch something, you sanitize your hands, move on to the next thing. So you don't have to clean and disinfect and sterilize again in between each person. That's where the sanitizing step comes through. So we have mixed it. We have talked about all 4 levels of infection control: cleaning, disinfecting, sanitizing, and sterilization. We have talked about how to mix it, how long it needs to remain wet or immersed. So wet if you're spraying it, and immersed if it is going into a container. These are only multi-use items that we're doing this for. Single-use items get thrown away. So sponges, cotton rounds, 4x4s. With that, now we can move on to actually setting up our station as if we were doing a service. I'm saying service specifically because even though we're going to set up for a facial, you are going to do the same setup for any service. Now, this can be customized to your business, to your brand, or to wherever, whatever salon spa you work in, they're going to have their own setup requirements. But I would absolutely follow the cleaning to the letter, and then for the setup, you can kind of remix it how you like. So I'm gonna move everything to the left side of my station here, and then we are going to specifically use the right side. I know, right? Thank you. Literally every day of my life. And then we're gonna use the right side to set up for our service. So for the setup process, we are going to need a facial box. If you're at the school, you'll use a box. If you're at home, however you store your tools and implements, it's up to you. What I will tell you is TDLR requires them to be in a closed container. So if you have your products and your implements, so facial brushes, extractors, product containers, gloves, sponges, 4x4s, cotton rounds, those things have to be stored in a closed container. So we use the boxes because when we get them from Amazon or the supply store, we take them, distribute them from that container, put it into the box, close the box. When TDLR comes in and inspects us, they inspect the box. If this box is left open, even if it's in the storage cabinet, we can get a fine. You can get a fine. So your items have to be closed and put away. So we've got a clean station here to get us started for the setup. The first thing that I like to do is sanitize my hands. I'm gonna keep my gloves on because we will be working with EPA. I'm gonna take my EPA and I'm going to saturate the surface, and this goes for the table and the bed for the 10 minutes. We're gonna do a fake 10 minutes because we would literally be sitting in silence. Saturate it for 10 minutes. Now come on, sound effects. Thank you. Timer, timer's gone off. And then we're going to simply, not a shot clock. We're gonna wipe it down. Again.
Wipe it down. Wipe it down. Wipe it down.
I definitely want you to know I'm making that TikTok.
I'll be there.
You should enjoy it. To be honest with you, if you're not enjoying what you're doing every day, why are you even doing it? Life's too short to suffer, so please enjoy it. Wipe it down. We're gonna throw this in our trash. In between each one of these steps, I want you to get into the habit of sanitizing your hands. You're probably asking, Claire, I just disinfectant. That's higher cleaning than sanitizing. Why do I have to sanitize in between the disinfectants on my gloves? For your state board, they are looking to make sure between each and everything you do, you're sanitizing. So get in the habit of doing it now. As you go out into the field, you're not gonna sanitize in between one product to the next for your client. It's just not gonna happen. But for state board, get in the habit of sanitizing before and after each step, before you do the next thing. So we have wiped the station down, we have fake wiped our bed down, and now we're gonna pull out the supplies we need. In this case, we're setting up for a facial, exciting. So we're going to pull out a facial box. The facial box includes a table cover, a pair of gloves, product containers, facial brushes, an extractor, a spatula to take products out of containers, 2 compressed sponges for our facial treatments, 3 cotton rounds, 4 to 8 4x4s. So I wiped this cart, station, bed, table, whatever you're using down with my EPA. Therefore, I can take my clean items and put it on it. But imagine if I had it and this was dirty. I was just breathing all on it. I had my lunch here yesterday and I put my clean 4x4 on it. I just did my client and myself a disservice. So it's important for you to clean the station before you use it. I am annoying, so I like to go in and actually cover the station again. This is a great way to remind yourself that anything that goes on this station, so separate from the white, anything that goes on this pink part, once I start the service, is contaminated and it either needs to be thrown away if it's a single-use item like the 4x4s, or it needs to be taken through the infection control process if it's a multi-use item like the sponges, like the extractor, brushes, so on and so forth. So this is my working station. The table itself has been disinfectant. Then I covered it with a clean paper towel. I use dental bibs at the school. Something clean, you can use a regular towel. It's really your prerogative.
Oh.
It's your prerogative. Whatever you like to use, you don't have to do this step. I like to do it while you're in school. Do it. No, it's James Brown.
No.
Everybody's talking all the stuff about Bobby Brown. Yes.
Hold up.
It's my prerogative. Man, I grew up in the 90s.
Yeah, me too. There's another
I'm
version.
confident about that. Oh yeah, well, I'm sure that someone has sampled it. I'm gonna lay out my 4x4s.
It is
It's a Britney Spears, she sampled it.
my prerogative.
Okay, Brittany,
Yeah.
she's got good taste. I'm gonna take my sponges, my extract. Every time I mess up.
I need to come up with a sound for that.
Spatula, please. Facial brushes, gloves, cotton rounds. I can take my gloves off at this point. These are my cleaning gloves, so I'm gonna go ahead and take them off. Toss them in the trash. I touched the trash, so I'm gonna sanitize. Also, I broke a nail under there, so that was fun. Remind me to fix that. Box is done, so I'm gonna close it and put it out of the way. Pro tip, if you are back to back with appointments, while I'm doing this, I actually double it up. So I empty it, like I'll go to the closet to fill it, the dispensary. I'll fill it, but I'll double fill it. And then to set up for my service, I'll take out half of it with clean hands and then take this and put it back underneath my cart so that I don't have to fill it in between clients. It's ready to go. We use product containers instead of working from the full bottle. So I'm gonna show you that, but I'm also gonna show you how to work from the full bottle. I like to lay out my product containers in the order that I'm gonna use them. Same with my products, you will see why. It'll make your life 10 times easier. Okay, so we've got our station set up. Now we're gonna pull our bottles. If you work in an environment where you get to work directly from the bottle, your own salon suite, your own business, whatever, great. You just need to make sure you clean and EPA the bottles after each service. Got that. Okay, and now in order to do a facial, so we're gonna move into strictly the actual facial demo. You saw a video yesterday. We're also gonna need a mannequin, so we're gonna pull that and just kind of put it off to the side for now. We're gonna put our product in order. So if you guys could pull up your beauty book, this one here. Pull it directly from your link tree. We are going to be in page 9. Page 9. Got the cutie with the mask on. So we set up, yay, she's back. Give us 2 minutes. We're gonna pause here so that we can get, someone just walked in, we're gonna get her clocked back in so she can participate. You made great timing. You only missed the first part. This is the part that,
I have a question. What size sheets did you put on?
these are queen, I mean, these are full, twin.
Oh, that's the twin. Twin? I was like, dang, those are big.
Those are twin.
Twin?
Yes. I love the. Oh,
I was like, seriously?
where's what's my sound effect for when I get, oops, I did it.
Basically, my
But,
failure.
yeah, when I told you like 3 different sheet sizes.
Oh, yeah.
I'm gonna edit this video specifically with sound effects,
Please do it.
just for you.
You'll have to text me and I'll send you sound.
Please send me sound effects. I promise I will use them because it's well deserved. Okay, we got you in? Perfect. Okay, so we will resume here, just for the editing standpoint. So we are going to set our products out in the order that we're going to use them. You're probably wondering, how do I know what order to use them? That's why we have protocols. All basic, introductory, European, all of those things really denote the same thing. A standard 50-minute facial. They all have the same segments. You'll hear me refer to facials as facial segments, meaning the parts of the facial where you do different things. So we have, according to our protocol, a cleansing segment. That includes the first cleanse, the skin analysis, and the second cleanse. We have a resurfacing segment, an extraction segment, a touch therapy segment, and a deep treatment segment. So cleansing, resurfacing, extractions, touch therapy, deep treatment. Write those 5 things down. I'll give everyone a minute. I'm going to say them again. Cleansing segment. Oh, take your time. I'm going to repeat it a couple times. Resurfacing segment. Extraction segment. Touch therapy segment. Deep treatment segment. Let's run through them again. Cleansing segment. Resurfacing segment. Extraction segment. Touch therapy segment. And deep treatment segment. Oh, it didn't turn to the back. We have 6. Mask segment. I'm sorry, not mask. Oops, I did it again. Dermal layering. So deep treatment is going to include your mask. So that's your deep treatment segment. That's correct. And then add dermal layering. So 6 total. Cleansing, resurfacing, extraction, deep treatment, and dermal layering.
Is touch therapy in there too?
Yes, and did I skip touch therapy? Touch therapy, deep treatment, dermal layering. Everyone should have 6 items listed on their list. Does everyone have 6? Perfect. Just for clarity, I'm going to say them one more time because I messed up in the beginning. Cleansing segment, resurfacing segment, extraction segment, touch therapy, deep treatment, and dermal layering.
The derma or dermal?
Dermal, D-E-R-M-A-L. For each one of these segments, we do a different thing, and they all serve a different purpose. For instance, our cleaning segment, just like in safety and sanitation, before we do anything or before we apply anything that's meant to be beneficial to the skin, we first have to cleanse it to remove anything that we don't want on the skin. Build up of lipids, fats, oils, dirt, debris, makeup. We have to get that all off because if we don't, nothing else is going to penetrate and actually produce the results that we're looking for. So we're going to teach you a 3-step process cleansing routine. And those 3 processes are going to be the actual cleansers that you're going to use, the skin analysis, and the eye and makeup cleanse. So the eye and makeup cleanse, the actual cleansers that you're going to use for the skin, and then the skin analysis. Those 3 steps, 3 sections make up your cleansing segment. So let's go ahead and pull the products for that. We're going to pull a makeup remover of some type for the eye and lips. If your client is wearing eyelash extensions, this is so popular now. When I was in school, it wasn't. You have to use the eye and lip cleanser that is oil-free. So we have 2 options, one of which you would have gotten in your kit. That is going to be the Pro Makeup Eraser or the oil-free makeup cleanser. Either one of those, they're the same thing. We're going to use it for our eye and lip cleanse. So that's our first. We're going to put it in line first. The next cleanse is going to be for the actual face. So you did the eye and lip. Now we're going to do the actual skin, the actual face. And you can use either the makeup remover cleanser again if your client has lashes, because it's oil free, so we know it's safe. Or if they don't have lashes, or if you can avoid the lashes, you can use an oil-based cleanser. For this example, I pulled the jojoba and poppy cleansing oil. I'm going to show it both ways using the oil-free Pro Makeup Eraser and using an oil cleanser as your first cleanse. So then from there, we have a skin analysis that we have to do. There's no space for it because there's no product that we'll do on a skin analysis. And then after that, we'll do a skin-specific cleanser. So this is cleansing the face for the second time, but this time with the skin-specific cleanser. In this case, we pulled the O-Oxygen. In order to do the cleansing segment, you need a cleanser for the eye and lips, a cleanser for the full face that's safe for all skin types. So you can use the same cleanser for that you did the eye and lip, or you can use an oil-based cleanser, a cleansing balm, any type of neutral cleanser that is not skin type specific. You'll do a skin analysis, so we'll have cotton rounds for that, but we're going to use them sooner, so we're not going to put them in the segments. And then you're going to need a skin-specific cleanser, which is our third in that step, and it's going to go behind the skin analysis step. So I've got all of my cleansers for segment 1, cleansing, in a row, ready to go. If you're at the school and you're using the facial kit, you'll notice these little ramekins in the box. They are to distribute this product in. So because you don't have individual bottles that you can take to your room with you, when you're at the school, you'll distribute 1 to 2 pumps into your containers and lie them on your station. So I've done that here. They're also in the order that I'm going to use them. If you want to do this process easier, if you start by setting up your station in the order that you're going to use the items and then tossing them when they're done, you don't have to know exactly what's coming next, because all you have to do is look at your station and the product is there. So from there, we have done our cleansing segment. We get to move on to our resurfacing segment. Resurfacing is just a fancy word for our exfoliator. We call it resurfacing. Some places call it exfoliating. Some people call it, what's the other word? They can call it a chemical removal, a chemical exfoliant, a manual exfoliant. Exfoliating, resurfacing, interchangeable, same process. We are going to grab the enzyme powder exfoliant and put it next to our cleansing segment in a new lane, as well as the larger ramekin to mix that in. Going to go onto our cart. After the resurfacing section, we are going to do extractions. For the basic facial, we can do finger extractions with our 2 pointer fingers, or we can use an extractor. We're going to put the extractor in its own lane next to the exfoliator. If you watched the first facial demo video already, you'll notice that Callie used a scaling gel or a de-encrustation gel. We are not going to use that until you get up towards level 2, because that is going to be for, it's going to typically make your extractions a little bit easier. But for right now, we want to do it manual and manual only. So we're just going to pull the extractor, put it in line. So we've already covered 3 segments: cleansing, resurfacing, extractions. From extractions, we're going to move on to our massage. Empty cup for the massage products. We're going to grab the massage cream, which is step 3 plus. In order to get the mask out of the container, we're going to need the spatula. So I'm going to pull the spatula and put it with my mask. We're also going to need a brush, so I'm going to put that with my mask. I've got one of my mask brush with my exfoliator as well. I didn't mention that, but it's with the exfoliator. So it's in the line of the exfoliator. After our mask or deep treatment section, we have the dermal layering, which is going to include an SPF. I'm sorry, did I skip? No, I didn't skip mask. I just grabbed 2. No, I did massage. I did skip mask. We've got our massage, and we've got our spatula for the massage, and then we have our mask. How do I
Sarah?
touch therapy mask? Yes, ma'am.
I'm sorry to interrupt. I am out of time. Will this be available to watch at a later time?
Yes, go ahead and type in your number, and you can. I will get you clocked out.
Okay, thank you so much.
You're welcome. It's on the paper. Okay. So we did our massage, which was the 3 plus, and then we have our mask. We'll also need a spatula for the mask. We're going to use the other side of the spatula. If you prefer to have 2 spatulas, grab 2 spatulas. I'm going to use one side for the massage cream. I'm going to use the other side for the mask. You can also use a wood stick. Any item that can either be thrown away or disinfected. So we have our cleansing, exfoliating, massage, mask. Now we're going to go into our dermal layering. So for our dermal layering, we will need a serum. We will need a moisturizer and SPF. You can also use an optional eye treatment. We won't use an eye treatment, but you can use an eye treatment. Typically, an eye treatment won't come in a basic facial. You can upgrade to get an eye treatment. So once you learn an advanced facial, we'll incorporate a full eye treatment. It's a pretty simple step. You'll also need for the dermal layering a toner. So I'm going to go ahead and organize these in the order that I'm going to use them. When it comes to products that stay on the skin, the reason they stay on the skin is because they are designed to nourish and hydrate and provide antioxidants, vitamins, minerals. So we want to apply them in order of molecule size. The best way to know the molecule size is the thinner the liquid is, the smaller the molecule. So the first thing we would use is going to be a toner. Typically, toners are liquid. There are a few gel toners. We actually have a gel toner. In that case, you would still use it before the serum, but it's typically going to be about the same molecular size as a serum. So you would still use the toner first, but most of the time, toners are going to be a serum. So in our line, we've got our toner first. You can use a spray toner. You can pour your toner with a 4x4. It's a matter of preference. Then from there, we have our serum. And then from there, we have our moisturizer and our SPF. The moisturizer and SPF are going to be mixed and emulsified together before we apply them to the client's skin. So we are going to put them next to each other as opposed to in line behind each other. For each one of these, I typically use the larger top, or if I can fit it, the smaller top, and then the toner in a pour. So I'll put my toner in here, and then I'll put 1 drop of my serum and 1 drop of each of my moisturizer and my SPF on the same circle top. The last thing is the muscle balm. This is optional. It's the smaller top we're going to use, and it's yellow, and it's optional because some people will like it, some people don't. It's for the neck and shoulders. not all places will use this. It's just a little easy time waster. It's nice for relaxation. It is specifically a bonus for the client. So if you skip it, it's not going to hurt you. If you don't do it in a spa setting, it's not going to be abnormal. So we're going to put that right behind the mask with its own little container for when we distribute it. So before we move on to actually setting up the bed and then actually dispensing our products to do a facial, does anyone have any questions? Perfect. Okay, so we're going to go ahead and make up our bed. First, since it's already made up, we're gonna undrape it, clean it with our cleanser. So we're gonna actually clean it with soap and water. And then we're gonna go in with our disinfectant, our EPA registered disinfectant, and then we're going to re-drape it. So let's put our little bowl here as well. Let's do this. All right, if you want to join me, we're just gonna undrape this and re-drape it. So I have one of you clean, I have one of you disinfect. Oh, we'll put it right on top there, as long as it's dry it is. Yes, go ahead. This stuff, yep, EPA is our disinfectant. Okay. We're gonna clean first. So soap and water on our sponge, and let's clean it. You can wet it in the actual room. At a sink.
Oh.
Not this first room doesn't have a sink, but the one next to it right there does.
This one?
Yep, not the straight one, but to the right. Yep. When doing the bed itself, I like to actually use a towel as opposed to a paper towel. If I'm working with the EPA and the soap, because it's easier to clean it. Yep, it's easier to take it off. So you can go ahead and put those on, because remember, we're gonna wear gloves when we're working with our EPA. Notice that she cleaned not only the bed itself, but the bolster, anything that can come in contact with the client, clean it. Perfect. Towel to dry. And then we will have her do our disinfection by spraying the EPA. You can spray directly on the bed in that case, and allowing it to soak for the 10 minutes. We're gonna take that 10 minutes, but it would sit for a full 10 minutes. And then I'm gonna take this to the back while they're doing that. So fully saturate both of them and then fully wipe them down. I'm also gonna bring us a trash can. BRB, guys.
Are you graduated or still have access to this stuff?
Yes, you'll have access to your TDLR portion of your course. You get like a whole new little section. Perfect. Sprayed and saturated, and then she would have allowed it to soak for the 10 minutes. I just brought this in here, but I will tell you the kick top trash cans are ideal. These work, but because you have to touch it, you have to sanitize every time you're using it, even in the real world. So the kick trash cans are really, really nice, because if you want to just use your little foot, kick it open, you're good to go. Perfect. And then you can gloves off, trash, sanitize, she's good to go. So from there, we're going to actually drape the bed. In order to drape the bed, we need 2 sheets. They can be one fitted, one flat. I typically have 2 flat, but we have a fitted one here, which is absolutely fine. And then we've got a flat. And then we're going to need a waffle wrap for the client. I like to pull about 5 towels for the whole process, but 2 of them are going to be for draping the bed, and the client's head, as well as a head wrap to drape the client's head. So let's go ahead and do our first sheet. It's important that when you're putting the sheets on the bed that you are not allowing them to hit the floor so that they're not contaminated. I like to make the bed with the bolster already underneath, but you can take it down, and if it gets in your way, I just leave it that way so it's easier to keep under the sheet itself.
Do you prefer those or the slanted ones?
I've never used the slanted one
Really?
ever.
They're like lace flap in here, but it's like
I have a art therapy background, so we were taught to use the oval bolster.
what'd you say?
They're very sturdy.
These ones? Oh, the triangle, yeah.
You said they're sturdy?
Yeah.
Ah.
They don't move.
See, I like it to move. So then I wouldn't like that, because if they're turning or doing it, well, with massage, because I was turning them over.
Yeah.
This is easier to compute with. So I actually switched the sheet. You probably can't see it from there, but there's a glue drop on the sheet.
Smells good.
Because it's black, and you can see it, I moved that part of the sheet to the bottom of the bed. If there are any stains or anything on your sheet, you don't necessarily have to throw it away, but you definitely want to make sure when you're making the bed, that is not visible to your client. Because there's nothing worse than the client seeing ratty like sheets and tools and implements. You want to make sure that they're nice and prepared. So from here, I just like to tuck this as taut as possible so it's not hanging over. We used to have, back in San Antonio, we actually used to use a cleaning service, a laundry service to do all our linen, and they would wash them and dry them, so they were always so nice and wrinkle-free. It was absolutely worth it if you are doing client services. You guys can see wrinkle sheets, but for your clients, it's absolutely worth it to have sheets that are professionally laundered, because you never have to worry about it being wrinkled. So when you put this on the bed, because it is long, this table's kind of high, so it's unlikely that it would hit the ground. If your table's not this high, I like to put it on the bed and then unfold it. So I'm not gonna go and, pull it like that. I'm gonna put it on the bed and unfold it slowly, section by section, so that I'm in control, making sure that it doesn't hit the ground. If it hits the ground, you gotta get rid of it. Here's another. Again, the table is high, so you can let it fold over. If you want to make sure that it doesn't hit the ground, grab your two ends, bring them together, fold. Now it's not hanging at the bottom at all. For my clients, I never did this because, as you can see, there's no room here. So then when their feet's in, they're kind of tugged in tight. If they're claustrophobic, that can bother them. So I used to let it hang, but it's a matter of preference. No wrong answers here. Because it's already tight at the bottom and it's tight, I'm gonna pull it taut, lay it down, hold it. Crisp. Try to get it even on both sides, doesn't always happen. In between clients, you're gonna be rushing. So it's not military style here. You don't have to make it perfect, but the better it looks, the better your client experience will be. Blanket, same thing. I'm gonna lay it onto the bed, drop a section by section, and go. You do not have to use a blanket in the real world. Some places don't use blankets. Some places do. It's really a matter of preference. Like a med spa might not use a blanket because you're not there to relax. You're there to get zapped and packed and changed. A regular spa, then you can. Don't use the blanket.
Yeah, because we had some clients that would get really cold and then some that didn't. So we kind of just
Yeah.
like our clients. So we would have like a little section where we had clean ones.
Nice. So you didn't have them on the bed, but you had them ready. Got it. So how often did you guys wash your blankets?
After, not after every single person, but probably that week. Like we would, because we had more than one.
Yeah.
So after one day, we would put it in the dirty laundry. The next day, have the new one for the whole day. If that makes sense. And at the end of the week, we would wash everything.
Same thing here. So these blankets, you can wash them after every client. It's not gonna hurt them at all. It doesn't matter if they get dingy wet. That's the point of the blankets. In your own spa, if these come into contact with the client, I wash it after every client. After every day or once a week for the blankets is okay. But if it comes in contact with skin, after every client. So that's why we have a top sheet and the blanket. It's really a matter of, just making sure that they're in the blanket the right way. But after every client, I'd rather do more than less. So that's absolutely fine. After every client, wash all the sheets, wash all the blankets, you're good to go. But typically, depending on the amount of use, once a week, depending on if it's coming into contact with the client at the end of each day, at the end of each client. It's really a matter of preference. To get into the habit, I would say after each client is perfectly fine. And then as you notice patterns, go from there. We're gonna have to give clear instructions. I like to verbally and show my clients exactly what to do. So for that, whatever side they're gonna be getting in on, I will tuck off to the side, make a little entryway here so that they know that that's what we're gonna get on. And then I just double check and make sure this is as wrinkle free as possible. So it's kind of folded off to the side so we know that's what we're getting on, or it can stay folded to the top. Again, these are those things that you can't get right, you can't get wrong, because it is what it is, you make it. You are on a social media detox starting today. 3 days.
What do you mean?
Waffle roll, because you know them so well. The same side they're gonna get on, I put the blankets, the waffle roll on that side. So if I fold it down that side, I put the waffle on that side. As long as it's laying and available, you're good to go. And then the last thing we're gonna do is the drape for the head. I told you I like to grab 5 towels, 2 to 3 is fine. I like to keep 1 for my hands, so I always grab the most, but at least 2, 3 is optional, 5 is overkill. It's your level of extra. First towel can be placed horizontally or vertically. It's your preference. If you place it vertically because you want to use this to dry your hands, that's fine. I prefer horizontally, and that's why I keep a towel for my hands. From there, we're going to go head wrap. If you use one, I like the little disposable ones, because you don't have to worry too much about them. We do have some that actually have they have a Velcro, but they also have like a brand on them. So I like those for the head wraps too, but really it's a preference. Mm-hmm. Very inexpensive. Easy and cheap. It's inexpensive and it reduces the laundry.
Yeah, I agree.
Hand towel size towel. You're gonna hold it up long ways at each end. We're gonna drop one of these tops and grab the bottom. I like to call these party triangles. Callie calls them mountain tops. See the little triangles here? Take it triangles to me. In line with the head wrap. Now we're ready for our client. They come into the room and it looks like that. From there, we've already done the station setup, the bed setup. Now I want to go ahead and dispense the product so we can know how much. We'll take a break from there and then we'll move into actually touching the face. All right. How much product do you use in a facial? May not seem like a big deal, but when you work for someone, and I do recommend you work for someone for a little bit, get some experience, right? Because you learn these little things. Everything that we do business-wise, like obviously we do services because it's fun and it feels good and all the fun things, but it's business at the end of the day. So you need to know how much of these products to use. And I can tell you right now, if you ever work in a franchise, a massage envy, a hand and stone, whatever, they monitor that stuff. Why? Because this bottle of product should service so many facials. So if I have to use 3 pumps of this per facial and this costs me $10 a bottle, I know if there's 100 pumps in here, how much each pump costs me. So if I have a client who needs 18 pumps of this, why? I don't know, they have on clown makeup that day. So I've got to remove it. And it takes 20 extra minutes and it takes me 10 extra products. Then there's an additional charge for that. Remember, we had the conversation about, oh, I'm not going to take off makeup, I'll come place clean. I'll take it off. But if I have to work for it, I'm going to charge it. That's how I would gauge it. Basic everyday makeup should not be difficult to take off. It shouldn't take more than 2 pops.
You do additional bleach.
You have to charge for it. Absolutely. That's I never thought to make your hair just like hair. If you're getting your hair dyed, it costs more than what they measured out. You're gonna pay for it.
Because it's product.
It's products, and you get paid on product and time. So for the first cleanse, the eye and lip cleanse, we are going to dispense out just a little. It's a liquid, so I like to use enough to fully saturate my cotton rounds. For the first cleanse of the face, we're going to use that first without water, and then we're going to emulsify it and add water. So I like to give myself a good 2 to 3 pumps. For the skin appropriate cleanser, you guys are literally like sisters. For the skin appropriate cleanser, it goes a lot further than the oil-free cleansers, the cleansing oils, the balms. So you only really need about 1 good pump. About a quarter size amount of this cleanser will do you just fine. If you need more, the product's always available. Remember, you can take more out of the bottle. You cannot put more back in. It's all about finding a perfect balance, and you will get there. For the most part, you're going to start off using too much, and that's okay. But you want to wean it down and get into a good groove. The next is your exfoliator. In your kit, you would have received 2 different small bottle of exfoliators. They are different types of exfoliators. One is like a rice bran. The other one is an enzyme. So you want to take one of them and go ahead and pull it, covering just the bottom of your bowl. Again, I like to use the bigger bowl for this. You will see why when we mix it. I'm going to show the camera. Very small layer. Don't mind my broken nail. Gloves through to you. And then, see it, for the massage cream, we're going to take our spatula. Now you can give yourself a good healthy chunk of this.
Use that one, yeah. What's that one?
Massage cream. It does smell like roses. Covered it up, top close. Now I need to do the same for the mask. I'm going to turn it and use the opposite side. Pro tip, if you would do this before your client is here, when things like that happen, because they'll happen, they don't get that experience. One thing about me that I'm big on is the client experience, but I've always been the kind of esthetician, the kind of massage therapist that my primary focus was the relaxation. I never did it to change the skin. I like to relaxation. So I'm really, really big on making sure the client doesn't get the dirty side of it. This is our mask. You can put it on the back side of here because it's easier to get out, but because we're using a brush to get it, it's fine if you want to put it right into the cup. A little bit over a quarter amount. If they have a smaller face, that'll do it just fine. If they have a larger face, you can give yourself a little bit more. You don't need to fill this with mask.
Question. Are we
Absolutely.
not allowed to have acrylics? Should we not?
Allowed is subjective. You can have acrylics. Typically, you want your nails to be shorter than the free edge. We're not going to pop you for it here as long as you can work with your nails. It's a new day. You need to, if you're going to wear nails, each day, you're going to have to scrub underneath those nails. And it's important that you do. Oh, wow, I broke 2 nails.
So upset.
You're a beauty professional. You are your brand. I want you to look good. I want people to say, oh my God, your hair is so pretty. I love your nails. I love this. Oh, thank you so much. I'm in the beauty industry.
Wait till my hair grows up and my extensions come
As you should. We love an extension. I'm going to take this and wipe it on both sides and save it on my station just in case I need to get more of any of those products. I can. Then from there, I'm gonna do my toner. I'm gonna show you toner as a spray and as a pour. So I'm gonna go ahead and put some into my bottle. Just enough to fill about, I would say, a third of that cup. We're gonna do 1 to 2 pumps of serum on the lid of the top.
Question,
Yes, ma'am.
do you prefer those or like, I know this has like a painting on it, but like, I know you know what these are, these little circle ones.
Oh yeah, I hate those. The acrylic circle wheels. You
Yeah.
show the camera.
She said, oh yeah.
They're paint palettes, artist palettes. I don't like them because they're not deep,
Okay.
so you don't get as much product. You can absolutely use them. We use those in school.
That's
they
why
were the
I was asking.
Bane of my existence, but it's not wrong.
I should bring a whole bunch of these in for
You
you.
absolutely can. It won't make me
No,
mad.
for you.
I won't use it. I will look right past it. For the moisturizer, you are going to take about 2 pumps of the moisturizer, and then you are going to take an even amount of the SPF and put it right next to the moisturizer. And this is not an even amount. I'm going to show you how much that made that fast. My serum and my moisturizer touch, so I'm moving it off and I'm going to redo it. That's way too much. You want about that much moisturizer and SPF. This is how much poured out because I poured it so fast. If you have anyone that is, I would say, tan or higher, and you use that much SPF, it is going to make them very chalky. Also, we don't waste product, so we use it on ourselves. So I touched on 40,000 things, so I'm gonna go ahead and sanitize before I go back and re-pump my serum. All right, now I've got my serum and it's separated. I've got my tools where they're going to be. And I've got my sanitizer at my station ready to go for when we do the actual facial. Our bed is set up. We've done our safety and our sanitation. We've got our model ready. We are ready for break. So before we go on break, does anybody have any questions on what we've done so far? Nobody? Everyone's comfortable getting to the point we've gotten to.
I think I'm just gonna have to do it.
You are gonna have to do it.
Right.
You're gonna have to do it and you have to do it 20 times. It's not meant for you to get it today. Somebody actually emailed me, I don't remember who it was, and the question was, I did a facial last night on my husband, and I recorded it, but I messed up. Can I turn it in? The answer is yes.
Y'all should see my first video.
You are here to make mistakes. Make all the mistakes that you can.
Okay, you know what? I'm glad you said that because I was just thinking about that. I was scrolling through the assignments and thinking, all right, so right now I'm just skipping through the ones like the videos that
Right.
I haven't taken yet. And I was gonna ask, like, am I qualified?
You are qualified to
Right
make
now?
all the mistakes you want to make. We are never going to shame you or judge you for making a mistake. I'm going to tell you, hey, that's not quite right, or hey, try this. But that's what we want to see. Mess it up. Mess it up as many times as you can, please. Everything you do, if it's beauty related, if it's in this course, turn it in. I want to see it. Okay, it is 12:30 on the dot. Let's do 1:15. So that's about 45 minutes. That should be enough time for everyone. Grab something and go to the restroom. If you are at home and you want to set up until this point, I'm going to stop the recording, but I'm going to keep the camera showing this screen so that you can step off and do the same thing. Anything that you don't have, like an implement, you can use a regular kitchen utensil. So you can use a knife to spread this out. If you have a makeup brush, instead of a fan brush, pull a makeup brush. If you have regular old kitchen sponges, grab a kitchen sponge. Everyone should have some type of cotton round at home. If you don't, take a paper towel, cut 3 little rounds. Same for a 4x4. If you don't have any type of 4x4 or applicator, take some paper towels and cut about 10 of them and make them into some little squares. We will work through it with what you have until you have an opportunity to either come into the facility and practice with our stuff, or if you have to, order it on Amazon, you can do so. So I'll break.
Miss Claire,
Yes, ma'am, go ahead.
is this session going to be, well, I know it's getting recorded, but are we gonna be
Yes.
able to access this presentation later, like another time to review it?
Yes, I'm gonna put this on by the end of the day.
Oh, okay,
As
perfect.
soon as I
Thank
finish with it, we will edit it
Okay,
and
Thank
have
you.
it put up on the YouTube, and it'll be ready to go for you. And I'll put it in your Boss Lady Beauty online.
okay, awesome, thank you.
You are welcome. I'm gonna stop the recording here, and then I'll be back with it.
Okay.